And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome. This is Inside the Niger Delta and I am Mamode Akuga. Well, today on the program we're going to be talking about the threat from the Niger Delta Avengers who say they want to resume hostilities in the region by blowing up oil installations. Well, but before we get to that, let me update you on our story, our running story about the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, which operated the whole of 2017 without an approved budget. Well, we're still waiting for a response from the commission through the managing director who has promised to speak with us and give us their response on the matter and possibly explanations on why they operated a whole year without an approved budget. It hasn't happened. When it does, we will bring you all the response from the NDDC here on Inside the Niger Delta. But for today, we are talking the Niger Delta Avengers, the militant group from the Niger Delta, which says they are set to resume hostilities once again by blowing up oil installations around the region. Well, they say they want Nigeria restructured. They say they want the government to keep faith with its promises it made. It made several promises when Vice President Yemi Osinbajo told the Niger Delta a promise, license modular refineries to empower youths from the region and provide jobs for them. They promised that oil companies who are currently headquartered outside the region will relocate to back to the Niger Delta region. They promised several things, empowerment programs and what have you, the Maritime University, the takeoff and all that. So many things were promised. The Niger Delta Avengers are saying all that the government has not kept faith with. And they're also saying Nigeria needs to be restructured. And if their demands are not met, they are going to resume hostilities. According to their spokesperson, Mudok Agbinibo, says this round of attacks will be the most deadly that they've ever embarked upon, and it's targeting deep sea operations of multinationals. According to them, Niger Delta Avengers say oil installations around the Niger Delta shall dance to the sound of the fury of the Niger Delta Avengers. Well, we went around the region, got some response from Rivers State here where we are. We also traveled to Bayelsa State and Delta State to get different reactions on the matter. So far, the federal government has not responded, save for Major General Paul Borough, the coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, who pleaded with youths and members of the Niger Delta Avengers to please give peace a chance. Well, in our studios shortly, we're going to be talking to High Chief Sarah Igbe. Sarah Igbe is a member of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum.
Inside the Niger Delta.
I am being joined now by High Chief Sarah Igbe, who is from the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, the umbrella body for all socio-cultural organizations in the Niger Delta. Chief, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Chief, what's your immediate reaction? I know that PANDEV, of course, must have met after the threat by the Niger Delta Avengers. But what's the immediate reaction from PANDEV and what's your own opinion?
Well, of course, you know why PANDEV was formed. PANDEV was formed out of necessity in 2016 when we had similar crisis. And we quickly went into the Greeks and were able to resolve the crisis. As PANDEV, we expected that by now government must have done something for us to show to the people of Nigeria that yes, government is sincere. But as PANDEV, I have to be very frank with you, we have been talking with government, we are dialoguing with government, and we believe so much in peace in the region. We believe so much in doing things that will bring investors into the region. But the government is not positive at all. Government has not been able to do the basic things that were agreed. We've met several times. The Vice President had visited the Niger Delta region, and up to date, we have not seen physical things to say this is what federal government has done. So when this issue of Avengers came, they came last year and threatened us, insulted us. We still called on the emergency meeting in November and asked them to remain patient, that government will be sincere to do something. But unfortunately, government has not really done much. So we, as a group, we have not come up with a firm decision, but publicly, from the general view, it is like, why do we go out to risk our life? Because some of these boys have started calling us to say, if you come again, we will do this, we will do that to you. So our government is not talking. We want government to react first. Let's see what the government will react to before we take actions. Secondly, we have, as a person, based on my background, I'm seeing dangers in the region before even the Avengers threat. There are so many signs that will bring dangers. One of these is the issue of government non-performance. Two, the government non-performance means the 16-point agenda is still idle. They have not addressed even the minimal things, like the oil majors moving to the area of operation, like the Ogoni cleanup, the Bakassi issue, and the allocation of oil well to the indigenous contractors or companies in the Niger Delta. These are things that they can do without much ado. We are not talking about the major infrastructures. Even the Maritime University that's supposed to have come to play, they promised us October, we have not seen. The Vice President told us in our August, he said they will give them 5 billion, only for us to hear in December the government has released 1 billion, and the state government has also released 100 million. Government has not shown the much desired commitment for us to say that they are doing much. So that alone will trigger crisis. Secondly, the issue of the Amnesty Office. The Amnesty Office, as said, they want to wind up. It's like government don't understand or they don't appreciate what the Amnesty Office is doing for the region. It is one of the key factors stabilizing peace in the region. And it's a security program. You don't probe one security program. You don't send EFCC or everybody to the program to balance the place or shut down your place because you are probing. It's a security program. There are certain things they can do there that they cannot even tell the public they're doing in order to get peace. Peace is costly, but it's the best we can achieve. Then also changing people up and down. If they had stabilized the place by the number of people they have engaged, if they allow people to stay there and understand the process, it will save the region. But this idea of bringing some dig and daddy from anywhere to change people is not also helping the amnesty program. Lastly, they're not funding the amnesty program. And the people go cap and down begging. Even to pay stipend is a problem, or to pay for those who are being trained is a problem. They can also pay contractors because the monies are not released as at when due. And this is causing a lot of ripple in the region. Then, this issue of Ogoni and Belema communities. We have got to understand that DPRO is trying to renew the license for Shell to run Ogoni and also the Belema. These communities are saying they don't need Shell anymore. And PANDEF support them. PANDEF is saying give this oil well to indigenous contractors. Let them manage it. Let the community hold them responsible. Leave Shell out of it if the people don't need them. We don't need more crisis in Ogoni, neither do we need crisis in the Kola area or in Belema area or any other part of Niger Delta when the operating companies are not doing well.
All right. Chief, where we are now is that, the Avengers have said, come what may, they will strike. And they're saying that we Nigerians should expect the strikes any minute from now. Now, you were special advisor to the River State government under Governor Peter Odili on security. What would you suggest that can be done now to prevent that strike?
PANDEF is saying we have discussed so much on this 16-point agenda. Let us see what we can implement immediately for us to tell our people that yes, we are ready to do something. If you don't do that and want to go Operation Crocodile dance, Operation Crocodile dance could be Operation Crocodile smile. It will be a smile in the sense that not only the Avengers that will die, a lot of economic crisis will happen in Nigeria. We are coming out of recess. We may go back to recess. And the military alone cannot be able to resolve this matter. No matter the money you are putting for military to fight Crocodile Smile, is enough to show sign of commitment, sign of good faith, bona fide fide, that yes, we should trust you, you can do something. But rather than fighting doing that, you are fighting yourselves. You are destroying the entire region. And so these boys are determined. And they are not boys you cannot say, I will identify them, we can stop them. The only way we can stop them is seeing government sincere to do something. Government should leave Boro, ask him to go to the field. Let him go to the creeks, as he did in 2016, and meet with these boys. But even if he meets with them, they might even flog him, because he himself has his problem with them, because government is not funding him to do what he's supposed to do. The Pandef today, government need to call Pandef if they are serious. All they are doing is, some persons are busy trying to spend their budget. Let there be crisis so that they can spend their budget and justify why billion of naira was spent.
Pandef has gone to the villa, they met with Niger Delta elders. You were there. The vice president was around also. You were part of all that visit and everything. Now, what sense do you get when you are with these people in government? What's the body language like? What's the sense? Do you see some serious determination on their part that they want to change the region?
Well, sincerely, our meeting the vice president was interesting. The vice president gave us hope that is committed when he was acting president. But since the vice president became vice president and the president came, we are not seeing that body language at church. That body language is no longer there. And that is the fear. That is why we are worried. Because if government is sincere, by now we would have seen implementation. We don't want grammar. We don't want show. We don't want talking. We have had a lot of talks. We don't want conferences anymore. What Niger Delta need is action. All the things the vice president promised us, nothing is happening. Even the modern refinery is not Niger Delta's opinion. It's the vice president's opinion to introduce modern refinery. Up to now, how many 1 year after? No, nothing has been done. So government must show concern. Because I don't know whether they want to kill people, or they want to take vengeance or revenge, or they have the agenda of spending money. Otherwise, something that is very easy to do to resolve this crisis once and for all and save your economy forever. You are dragging your feet to make sure there is crisis, but you are forgetting that when the crisis starts, the pipelines will be blown up, you will not be able to meet your target, you cannot be able to deliver this oil, and you will spend billions of naira to repair this pipeline. The boys will die, soldiers will die, even innocent life, because both of them are going to carry arms.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And now we go to Bayelsa State, where we spoke to two gentlemen. First is Priya Agama, former Deputy National President of the Joy Youth Council. And we started by asking him really if he knows who the Niger Delta Avengers are.
Some persons might just come to say, because they want to make money, lie that we know where they are, we know where they live. You don't know where they are. Avengers is just in the conscience of every human being. People are fed up of the system that is going on right now. We need this small development. I watched a video today that actually pissed me off as an individual. I believe in the tradition that says the pen is greater than the gun, which is something that everybody must adhere to and abide by. But the video I watched, one Taraba former speaker saying, majority leader in House of Reps saying that our oil in Bayelsa belongs to him, to them, Taraba State. You can imagine that it's provocative, whether I would like it or not. To me, it is not a threat, and I expect the federal government to wear up its whatever gear, whatever they want to do to ensure that yes, the dialogue and ensure that the promises that have been made are kept to avoid we going back to where we're coming out from.
All right. One of the promises made by the federal government was the establishment of modular refineries. This is supposed to help young men in the region, provide jobs for them. They can take care of themselves and their families. But since that pronouncement was made, nothing much seemed to have happened in terms of the modular refineries. And what we see is that illegal oil refining is still going on in the creeks.
Thank you. This question, I just want to believe that I shouldn't look at it as a way to ease the tension that was on there. I think if that is the intention of the federal government, they're getting it all wrong. Or let it not be that because we are going down an elective a transition period again, they want to bring up issues of we want to do it now, we don't want to do it now. I believe that there is no sincerity of purpose regarding the modular refineries. I think that is the biggest challenge because if there were to be sincerity of purpose, the issue of certificates for those that will implement the modular refinery would have been given out. Up till now, nothing. Nothing is being done, and I see it as a height of fraud. And sincerely speaking, as a former National Deputy President of the Joint Council, I'm 100% not pleased with what the federal government is doing. I am actually not pleased. What is there in creating federal? The bunkers will soon start again. It will bring down the entire economy of the country, and that is not what we want. We are advocating for peace.
What do you want?
Thank you so much, sir. Federal government knows what is good for them. As you are like this, you know what you put in your stomach, what you put in your body that will not be dangerous to you. Knowing fully well that we milk the nation, why is it that we need people to tell us how to manage our own area? It's wrong. Look at how we need roads, we need drainages, we need piling, we need so many land proclamation and so on and so forth. Nothing is being done. It's not right.
So you want restructuring of Nigeria?
Restructuring is something that as a member of the Joint Council, is something that we have been agitating for it long ago. Our fathers, our mothers, our leaders, our political elites coming now to say it is now our governor coming to say it's not that key to restructuring. It's like they didn't even know where they were fighting for. They didn't even know where we, the smaller generation, where is now they're even coming to join us, not we joining them. So it's a plus. We actually need the restructuring. I think it's the best way forward for Nigeria.
One of the promises made by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo while touring the Niger Delta area is that modular refineries are going to be set up in the region. Well, we are still in Bayelsa State and we spoke to Tari Charles Taylor and we asked him about modular refineries and the illegal refining of petroleum products in the Niger Delta creeks.
So long as the mobile refinery cannot come on, I don't think the oil will stop. And to your surprise, it is this crude oil that is being supplied all over the filling stations. Federal government is only telling us they are bringing fuel from here, they are bringing fuel from here, they are bringing fuel from here. All the fuel they are bringing is from the creek.
You mean that the fuel that people are buying?
Yes, they are all from the creek.
They are the ones locally refined.
They are all from the creek.
By
yes.
Niger Delta.
Yes, those are the ones we are buying in the filling stations.
How are you sure?
Yes, we are sure because we are seeing it. They are the same thing that they are putting in the tank, bringing in the filling station, selling us. We have not seen any imported fuel in the Niger Delta. So long as the federal government does not have the political will to open the Mobo refinery, this fuel business will not going to stop.
But do you know that it is illegal? It is against Nigerian law.
It is illegal,
Nigerian law.
Yes, Nigerian law, yes, but it's our oil. It's our oil. If you want to stop us, you must make a provision for us. It's our oil. We went to speak with these boys to stop this business, that these mobile refineries are coming, but the federal government does not have the spiritual will to stop the business, so the oil must continue.
Even if they bring the soldiers and police to arrest you people?
They have been arrested. They are all part of the business. They are used to it. They are all part of the business. No matter soldiers you bring, no matter police you bring, they are all part of the business. So there is no way you can stop it. It cannot stop. It can only stop if the federal government has the political will to say, okay, this is what we have for you people. Then we cannot speak with the people, stop this business. But so long as the federal government does not have this political will to bring this mobile refinery to our community, they want to stay in Abuja to sell license without coming to do proper, it will not going to work.
This attack, the Niger Delta Avengers are threatening now. What can stop it?
We will speak to them, and we have been talking to them, and they felt that the time has expired.
But what can the government do now to make sure that they don't blow up any pipeline? Because the oil will still come out.
The government don't have the political will. They don't have anything.
If they promise again,
they have been promising. You cannot be telling your wife the same story continually. Every time you are telling your wife the same story and the same story and the same story, at a time your wife will get fed up. So the Niger Delta people are fed up with the federal government. We sympathize with Buhari. He thought presidency to govern this country, he thought it was easy. But he has seen it. But it is not even Buhari's fault. Even you bring 50 Buhari, it will not solve the problem. The major problem that will solve this country is for we to sit down and restructure this country. Without that, whatever we do, it will not going to work.
And finally on the program today, we were also in Delta State, where we spoke to President of the National Isoko Youth Assembly, Comrade Mwakbo Ovie, and we asked him about what he thought about the threat from Niger Delta Avengers. While responding, he took us to a completely different aspect of the Niger Delta question.
Crises, they are product of bottled up anger, bottled up frustrations that have not actually been addressed over time. So, and when people are frustrated, there is likelihood that they are going to be violent. So, I will sincerely appeal to the federal government that the promises that they have made on the modular refineries for the Niger Delta region, they should be able to keep to it. The promises to create jobs for our people, they should also keep to it. Anything short of that, of course, the Niger Delta Avengers, they have been operating within the creeks of the Niger Delta region. For us in Isoko Nation, the youth, they believe that the only way you can bring the government to negotiating table is by being violent. And unfortunately, that seems to be the narrative of today in the Nigeria setting. That if you are not violent, you will not be rewarded. For instance, the presidential amnesty program that have been, put in place since 2009 to date, the Isoko youth have not been integrated into that program. Why? Because they believe we have been peaceful, we have been cooperative. Now, if you can reward those who have taken up arms against the state, if you can reward those who have crippled the economy of Nigeria, especially during the height of the hostility within the creeks, when the hostility was on, the Isoko man, they used their sweat, their blood to protect the oil facilities within our borders. That was what that accounted for the continuous flow of resources into the ports of our federation. You understand? So if you can reward those who have taken up arms against the state, why not also, in the spirit of justice, fairness, and equity, also accommodate or reward those who have been cooperative, those who have shown serious commitment towards the protection of the oil facilities within their borders?
Now, when you say the Isoko youth are not integrated, are you saying that not one of the Isoko youth has benefited from the amnesty program for the Niger Delta youths?
Recently, General Boro, made a statement that over 5 million youths of Niger Delta have benefited from the amnesty program. Immediately that statement was released, the following day I wrote to him, demanding that for us in Isoko Nation, our youth have not been integrated into their program. And don't forget that the presidential amnesty program is in phases. We have the violent phase and the non-violent phase. When they are to implement the violent phase, the Isoko Nation, because we did not take up arms against the state and the oil facilities within our borders, we did not drop arms. And as such, we allowed them to implement the violent phase. Now that they have started the implementation of the non-violent phase, it is only logical, it is only wise for the government to also consider the Isoko Nation, the Isoko youth, who have used their blood, their sweat, and everything they have got to protect the oil wealth within our land. So to us, the narrative therefore is that for you to be rewarded by the Nigeria state, or for you to bring the Nigeria government into the negotiating table, is by being violent.
But you are not planning to be violent anyway.
We cannot,
It's against the law.
sir, as it stands today, we cannot continue to guarantee the peace within the Isoko nation going forward. Because before our very eyes, billionaires and millionaires have been made from the other sister ethnic groups that have taken up arms against the state. And the Isoko man, the Isoko youth, they have continued to ride on Okada as a empowerment. So, they believe that if you have rewarded those who take up arms, it is only logical for them to also take up arms to drive home their demand. To answer your question, I will say sincerely that going forward, we cannot longer guarantee the peaceful disposition of the average Isoko youth, because on a daily basis as their youth president, my phone is inundated with several calls by those you that are agitated, by our you that feel deprived, by our you that feel alienated by the Nigerian society, the Nigerian state. So we cannot guarantee whether the Isoko youth will continue to be peaceful or otherwise.
Well, that's our package on Inside the Niger Delta for today. Same time, same station next week. Of course, we'll be here to tell you, bring you more stories from Nigeria's Niger Delta region. My name is Mamode Akuga. Thank you all so much for watching, and bye for now.
Inside the Niger Delta.